Hello guys, Video Psych here. Now, if you've watched my channel enough, you might have seen that I have chatted about the Hikikomori before, and it's a Japanese term for somebody that is essentially a shut-in, as they call here in the US. And now these quotes here I will read. They aren't too long. These are off of a different channel here. Now I'll try to read it as well as I can. One person states, I can tell you exactly why I'm no longer welding, and it's actually kind of ironic that this guy was a welder, kind of like I would say try to be at one point. I went to school, trained for 2 years, and every company I worked for wants to try and pay $18 an hour where I live, or make you travel constantly or work nights. I worked at one company for 5 years with no raise. I'm a hard worker, I don't complain, and I show up on time. And if I'm getting paid this little, then I decided I'm going to work at a coffee shop for $15 an hour and enjoy what I do. This industry can suck it. I mean, 5 years of no raise, yeah, that's definitely not a good deal. And this person actually also talks about the Hikikomori from Japan. Japan is experiencing this exact thing where where their populace is just checking out the workforce, or even not checking in the first place, but straight up checking out of life. Hikikomori basically just board themselves up in their rooms and wait to die because there's no point in doing anything else. No point in seeking relationships, having families, trying to have a career. It's all become so difficult and so little reward to do it that they all collectively decided I'm done and unplugged. Now, a version of this is happening in the US where people are just giving up and disengaging. And companies are panicked and confused because all of the tried and true manipulations don't work on somebody who's been backpilled. You can only abuse someone for so long before they just stop trying, except that the abuse of corporations was never designed with people that just give up in mind. Of course. And I'm going to be frank with you, I kind of saw this coming. It was already happening in Japan years ago, and now it is at least starting to happen in the US. Now, I think COVID has kind of made this kind of, how should I say it? I think it's made it so it's not going to happen as soon. Because I think when COVID happened, people kind of looked at their lives and they thought, you know what, my life kind of sucks. I'm going to stop doing this. And so not only did they not only not go to these jobs anymore, they also started fighting for some of their rights, which is the thing. Because when COVID happened, they realized their lives sucked and they just thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. Either you guys pay me more or I'm just not going to work. Or I'm just going to go get a different job. Just period. And in a way, it's funny because in some ways, after I'd say the after effect of what happened with 2020 led to a lot of good, but it also led to a lot of bad. Because there's still the issues that a lot of jobs, when compared to, let's say, when my father was younger, are a lot more demanding than they used to be. And they don't like to admit it, but a lot of jobs have become way more demanding than when my father was a kid. And also when my grandfather was younger too. Because when I asked my grandfather, he also went through the depression, by the way, about hard work. He said, just come in every day, just do your job, don't complain, etc. And then he's dead now, of course, but, at the time I told him, I've actually been doing that for over 2 years now, and these guys will still not let me move up or anything after coming into work and doing my job. And then he kind of looked at me like this, and he's just like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Why is that? And I just said, you know what? I don't know. and I don't really care because that's just that was just a reality at the time, is the thing. But I will say this much about this current generation is in some ways I'm actually agreeing in what they're doing. I actually do understand the fact that a lot of these places are maybe sometimes too demanding in some cases, and I think that they need to give the later generations a bit of slack, in my opinion. And I sometimes just think that they expect way too much from them. And even when, especially my generation came out, they expected way too much from us. But there was also the recession happening at the same time, so that didn't exactly help. Nobody was really getting a job when they got out of high school that year, really. But yeah, so we have gone to a point where now, a lot of kids here in younger generations, and even people about closer to my age, sometimes are feeling helpless, and they're just like, you know what, fuck it, which is just insane. Now, it's not on the same level as Japan. I'm not saying that, but it is, I would say, to an extent, become a problem. And again, like I said, I kind of saw this coming. And this even kind of correlates to the love doll issues that I've talked about, and the reasons why people get them sometimes. And part of that reason is because you know there's lots of people out there that want something that they can't have, and that's a relationship where you can just do what you want. Because in a real relationship, you can't just do what you want. You have to, if you have kids with them, you have to take care of the kids as well. And that also costs a lot of money. And are these jobs nowadays giving enough money to support that? And especially before 2020 happened, the answer was no. Lots of these jobs, even currently, aren't giving enough to support for a family, which is also another issue. Now, like I said, it's already happened in Japan, but it's in a way starting to happen here, which is just insane. And another reason why, I'd say one of the biggest reasons why so many people in Japan have become Hikikomori is because they have been taught that their purpose in life is to compete for these workplaces and these corporations, and that's it. Now, because until recently, especially in areas like Iowa here, you know, we have plenty of farmers here, and that's how they live their lives. That's how they manage to make money, etc., by having their own business like that as a farmer. Well, now it's easier to be able to make your own business nowadays, which is a good thing. Trying to, let's say, apply to a job the old fashioned way and work for, let's say, the government is harder than it's ever been before and is way more demanding. Or if you're working for trying to get into a job for IT, that also has become way more demanding, not only because of just the simple fact that they don't have the space for the amount of workers trying to apply to them, of course. It's because now that's just what's expected nowadays, for whatever reason. Nowadays, they just expect it. And so, yeah, as these expectations from human beings arise, even beyond what is really humanly possible, you know, it's just ridiculous, is all I can say. But I will say this much is that I think that people have lost sight of the fact that at some point they are just going to have to fight for something that they want. And that is the one area that I think that they need to teach our younger generations, which is something that they are not. All that they're doing is saying, hey, if you are a good boy, I'll give you this carrot. And if you come in every day, I'll give it to you. Well, these kids are coming in every day. These good little kids are doing what they're told. And yet they're seeing is this carrot being, it's just going up higher and higher and higher. And they're just thinking like, what the fuck? We're coming here every day, and all you're doing is taking away the carrots, you know. And that's one of the issues that I've noticed nowadays is, although the people are, I'd say, kind of coming to work, besides maybe the people since 2020 that decide they aren't working anymore, of course, the people that are still working are just like, wait, what the fuck? You know, why are you doing this? And again, the simple fact of the matter is that what they have taught you is that if you are good, they'll just give you something. But the truth of the matter, the reality is that they aren't just going to give this to you. Either you have good connections and maybe then they'll give that to you. Maybe then you'll kind of finally see it, but that's only to maybe a lucky few people. And maybe just if you're lucky enough to make friends with the right people, maybe you'll see those benefits, possibly. But until that point comes, the majority of the people that are promised, these benefits, and just in general what they're promised, are not going to see these types of benefits in their entire lives, ever. And that's part of the reason why lots of times when you are looking for a job, it is sometimes actually better not to stick around for 10 years anymore like it used to be, or longer. And sometimes it's just better to go to a different job and be, appraised for a better pay. Like, hey, if you come work for us, I'll give you another dollar or two an hour. Like, okay, sure. So I'll just go work for them instead of, getting paid another 50 cents next year. Which is the thing nowadays. It's just the long term, reason for going to a workplace anymore is starting to kind of go away. Well, and this is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. The good thing is that it's going to be easier for people to pick up on a new job and even start out their own little business. But on the other hand, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be harder to access the kind of benefits that you might need for you and your families. But again, and like I said before, unless people start fighting for what they want and need, we are never going to see the types of benefits that we saw, let's say 50 years ever again. We are never ever going to see them again unless we fight for them. But of course, people are not going to fight for it unless their backs are at the corner, which hasn't happened yet. But at the rate that it's going, I just wouldn't be surprised if it started getting to that point. With that being said, I will stop this video. And again, don't be a shut-in, and don't give yourselves reasons for being a shut-in, please. And continue to fight and continue to work. See you guys later.